Welcome back to a secluded tree-like cove in the realm of Prion. Last time, we managed to reunite this elven prince. Not reunite, to unite this elven prince with this human princess. They like each other now. And that also means that, fortunately, we have access to the prince's golden staff and the princess's golden sword. We might be a bit presumptuous about that last thing. She apparently likes the prince now, but she hasn't agreed to come with us yet. But the prince likes us so much that he's indebted to us, and he now occupies this space to the side of our inventory. Apparently he'll travel wherever we go, and he'll talk with us whenever we like. So let's talk to the princess and see what she thinks about these recent revelations.
Greetings. My prince explained that you are a friend of his and that you helped bring us together. For that, I am indebted to you.
My role in your romance was nothing, dear princess.
On the contrary, it means everything to me. I am not blind to what the consequences of our union could mean to our races as well. It could unite our peoples. This could usher in a new age of peace. You are largely responsible for that.
Oh, you notice, Katie. It is, and there is a serious debate going on about how decorative the flute is.
The prince is a sweet guy, isn't he?
He's very sweet, a little naive, but all the more adorable because of it. I never really thought of elves that way, but he changed my mind.
Her accent is kind of a mix of real-world human formal and real-world human casual. Anyway, I don't think it's only a decoration, I just think it's decorative. I think that the wings serve no purpose, except for decoration.
Would you mind doing me a favor?
A favor? Certainly. What is it?
Yeah, so we want her golden sword, but I do want access to her flute because we know that we have a melody that supposedly disables the Titans, which are preventing us from getting to the Citadel, or at least to deep in the woods. Doug, thank you for saying hi, and I'm glad you played some more Tetris 99, and that you've used the word tuve, and the word hi, and also thank you again for bringing the folks over, and for your hospitality prior to tonight's episode.
I was wondering if you'd accompany me somewhere. I need you to use your golden sword for a task.
Of course I'll help you. I can't imagine what task would require my golden sword. It's not much of a weapon, it's a symbol of leadership, but I'll be happy to accompany you.
I want you to use it primarily as a weapon. I'm just kidding. Yay, she came with us. All right. Oh, also, last time, yet another thing, the dreaded sound issue where the speech is all broken up happened. I think last time it happened when I tried to talk to the princess from this interface, so I guess we'll see.
Greetings, my friend.
She's okay. That's great. So we can ask her more now that she's with us.
What do you think your father is going to say about your union?
I don't think he's ever considered the idea, but he has a lot of respect for the elves. After a little grumbling, I think he'll be happy for me.
Good. That's good. Let's ask about the flute, and let's do it in the least surreptitious way we can.
That's a nice flute you've got there.
Thank you. It was given to me by my warder. He's the one who trained me to hunt and track, but he also taught me to play this flute. He is one of the only people I know who still remembers how to play the old written music. There isn't much of it left, but he collected some of the ancient sheets and kept them safe. I was honored to learn the skill from him.
So she does know how to read music, so I think that's pretty much clinched. Also, yeah, I was expecting more of a, that's a nice flute you have. But he really pulled it off. He was like, that's a nice flute you have. Or something like that. That's a skill I wish I had. Maybe someday.
Tell me a little about your people.
I thought you were human, but I guess you're not. Otherwise, my people would be your people. We're nomadic. We live all over Prion following the game we hunt. It might appear to the other races that we're rather loosely organized, but that's not true. My father leads us wisely with the council of the people. We have thrived for generations.
The game I hunt is Deathgate.
Our lives are hard,
Sorry.
though, and sometimes dangerous. The appeal of the elves' safe and stable society affects many of us. For some, it's too much to resist. They come to the elves as refugees and beg for whatever work is available. I think my people want to settle down. They follow my father out of loyalty, but they're ready to change the way they live. Even I wouldn't mind some stability.
Yes, I'm sure you enjoyed that, Lexi. This is the first we've heard about the nature of humans directly. We've heard it alluded to. But yeah, now we know that the humans are more nomadic. They keep to themselves in smaller groups, but they're interested in... I'm going to call that cultural exchange between humans and elves. She doesn't sound like she has a cough, but apparently Hapla would like to ask that, so let's do it.
Are you ill? It sounds like you've got a cough.
I do have a slight cough, but it's nothing. I caught a chill in a downpour a little while ago. I'll get over it eventually. Just now, it's not that bad.
Maybe we should give her some healing salve to drink. There is no indication that would...
Thanks, Princess. That's all I have
not
to say.
kill her.
Sure.
Sure, that's awfully nice. Alright, what more can we do around here? Are the children a little less engaged now? You can't attract the attention of any of the children. They're too busy playing their own games. That's right, this child is children. And she's, I don't know. She seems unimportant, so maybe she'll be the most important character in the game. It's hard to tell. The papery hive. Well, sad to say, we might be done with this area. I love this little place. Oh well, we'll see it next playthrough. We got some cool stuff during that little quest, though. And now, we need to head back to the Citadel and see whether our new royal couple can help us get further than we could before. We also have some mushrooms. I have no idea what those are for. Lexi, I made a quesadilla. That's wonderful news. I'd love to hear a report on whether you found the endeavor satisfying and indeed rewarding. You stand in the cramped bridge of your one-man dragon ship in front of the navigational wheel and steering stone. The number of times that description has been visible is probably very high. But I think the number of times I've read it is 2. This music is also feels a little more like home, you know? Yes and yes, and fulfilling, or at least filling. That's good. Over we go. All right, here we are. We haven't been here in a while. Oh yeah, this old music. Follow the path. Here we are. Okay, well, we can get them to put their stuff in there. Will it help if we don't have all 3? I'm not sure. I think we want to try the flute, though. The south apparently is the way into the Citadel. Is it west we need to go? West is the way to the cool creature that we know exists here. But we still don't know what to do with it. Oh. We do have some yellow petals. You stuff the nut full of the foul-smelling flowers. Maybe we can give this nut to this creature and it will not want to eat the nut. We know it can open the nut, but it always eats the interior right away. You toss the nut up to the animal, perched on the branch. A lightning-quick claw snatches the nut from the air. The animal tucks it close to his furry body, inserts 2 pointy talons into the hole in the shell and exerts pressure. With a crack, the nut breaks open. The yellow petals stuffed inside the nut fly everywhere. One whiff makes the animal's nose wrinkle up. Evidently, this isn't how its favorite food is supposed to smell. It hurls the nut back at you. When it lands, the meat of the nut falls out right at your feet. Excellent. I convinced you, apparently. Let's take the nut meat. We could eat it or smell it, but... yeah. Which is interesting, because you like creatures that seem, on the face of it, far more threatening than this one. I think the last episode shone a little bit of light on that. But you're actually not keen on this one. How does the meat smell? It has a distinct but pleasant nutty aroma. Yeah, I see, okay. So it is a speciesism thing. Okay, that's all I could think of to do in that area that we hadn't done before. How about north? Okay, now we're here. So, this place with the wood, we've never been able to use that branch, which looks like we can just pull it. Or something. It's an I like my face thing. Alright. Alright. Can we get what's her name to play the flute? Or do we need to give the Book of Prion to her, which contained the notation?
This is incredible. It's music from the ancients. What an amazing find. Would you like me to play it?
Would I? Yes.
Yes, start playing it now if you would.
Very well. Just tell me when to stop.
How convenient. There it is. And that indeed does sound like what we saw written on the page when we sifted through the book. The forest is unnaturally still. There are no sounds of birds or animals. There is no wind. A young dwarf girl is tied to a tree with vines here. She looks desperate. That wasn't there before. Maybe things happen in this world during times. Whoa, what happened? The vines are... Look at this. Description takes up the whole screen, or the whole inventory. The vines are thick and strong. You don't even think you could lift them, much less untie the massive knots that hold the struggling dwarf fast. The flute melody stops abruptly. You notice that the princess is racked by a sudden coughing fit. That's what happened. The forest erupts with the towering brutes all racing toward you with murderous intent. You sprint off to the south. The crowded forest falls away, and when your party has finally reached the clearing, you notice that the giants have stopped following you. Woof, yeah, okay. So we have to do something about that cold. What are we going to do about it? Can we give you the toadstools to cure the cold? Alright, what about the healing salve? The salve heals wounds. It doesn't cure colds. Gosh, alright. Have we heard anything about how to cure a cold? Also, it looks like our inventory is now only 2 rows, exactly. Punch it. Yes, I think that's advice I've seen Katie give before. And believe me, Katie, if I could, I would. But I can't. Would you like some nut meat? Punch her to cure cold. Yes, I wish I could type a command in, like, punch her to cure cold. Wait a minute. What kind of magic do we have? Let's look at our list. Well, we have heat. What do you think? The princess blushes. The prince, assuming that her sudden color has something to do with him, smiles. Not exactly what we're looking for. There's gotta be something we can do, but what is it? Maybe this magic arrow will help. Prince, what do you know about colds?
Yes, my friend? What can I do for you?
Let's ask him about the dwarves while we're here.
Do you know anything about the dwarves?
I've never actually seen a dwarf, but my father has. As king, he's spoken with their representatives on a few occasions. They tend to keep to themselves most of the time. They remain carefully neutral in any conflicts we have with the humans, and they're incredibly stubborn. No amount of persuasion will make them take sides. All in all, we usually leave them alone, and they do the same.
So they're neutral. Lexi says, swap her injured lungs for Prince Doorknob's healthy ones. Exactly. That's what I was thinking. No.
Nothing right now, but stick with me.
Sure.
Sure seems to be a typical greeting here. Oh, I see. We're getting those little blue flashes during scene changes because of that different inventory area. Doug, I'd better drink some water, do some stretches. Now we're talking. I think dwarf is considered a slur. Exactly. That's been a recent hashtag. I'm pretty sure. As per Katie's recommendations. Precisely. As per Katie's recommendations, I think would be a good name for a podcast if you started one, Katie. All right, I want to see if we can talk to the dwarf without trying to cut. Now we can't talk to her at all. Okay, can we use the shear on the vines? The shear's been useful. Can we do that quick enough so that we're not approached by the titans? Oh, hello. Yes, hello. Maybe we needed to wait until this point to play the music? Give the forest to the vines, as they say. That's the spirit, Katie. You approach the struggling dwarf, but when you come within a few yards of her, the surrounding trees shake, giants appear, lumbering menacingly toward you. They look vaguely human, save for their lack of hair, their huge size, and their eyeless faces. Something other than sight must direct them, as we know is true, for they avoid all obstacles in their single-minded pursuit of you. You retreat rather in a rush, and the forms melt back into the trees. The dwarf slumps in despair. Okay. Does that mean we're a screen away again? No, it doesn't. Maybe we can get her to play now.
Greetings, my friend.
Would you mind doing me a favor?
A favor? Certainly. What is it?
It's a lot to save for. Oh, we can ask for her to scratch our back. Maybe when we have an itch.
Could you start playing the tune from that book I gave you?
Very well. Just tell me when to stop.
Let's do it. The princess lifts the flute to her lips. Okay. We still haven't been able to talk to this dwarf. Also, the elfin prince said he'd never seen a dwarf when obviously he just had seen one. Looks like we did it. You slip next to the struggling dwarf and pull out the garden shear. The princess's melody appears to keep the giants at bay while you saw through the dwarf's bindings. The vines fall away just as the princess coughs and stops playing the flute. The forest erupts with the towering brutes all racing toward you with murder in their eyeless faces. Off we go. You grab the dwarf's hand and sprint off to the south. The crowded forest falls away, and when your party finally has reached the clearing, you notice that the giants have stopped following you. Oh. The music is kind of quoting the theme from the opening, which is great. The dwarf girl Cheers. The dwarf girl is a princess and gasps for breath. Her legs were obviously made for negotiating much shorter distances. After she recovers, she looks up at you. Naturally, you expect the small creature to overwhelm you with gratitude. Of course. Look at her. She is not too much different looking than Jar was.
Why did you rescue me?
But she sounds different. Now everyone's in love with everyone and they'll all get married and resolve the racial issues. Exactly. We need to have a marriage graph where every person is married to every other person. But you know the old saying, if you're married to everyone, you're married to no one. Now that's a gratitude.
What do you mean?
I mean, why would a party of 2 humans and an elf risk their lives to save a dwarf? It doesn't make any sense.
Gratitude. Trademark.
Why wouldn't we?
It just doesn't happen. We haven't even seen an elf for generations, and the humans we have seen have been content to keep as far from us as possible. It suits us fine. Humans and elves can keep their petty wars to themselves as far as we're concerned.
Oh, so you look down on non-pacifism, do you? I mean, yes, I suppose that does make sense.
Because you were in trouble. Everyone should help out those in need.
Wow, you really helped me just because I needed help? That's so nice. I don't believe it.
That's right, you have now experienced nice.
It's a custom among my people to give a favor in return for one, especially one as significant as saving a life. All you have to do is ask.
Ah, well, that's just what we wanted. That's convenient. You could convince her if you had that jar of marm. Exactly. Unfortunately, we had to use the marm to kill your beloved spider. Her skepticism melted away. Yeah, let's ask to converse. Racial relations.
That's fine, but could I talk with you a while before I ask for anything?
Of course. What do you want to talk about?
So many people in this game ask such a question.
Can you tell me anything about that building to the south?
Sure. It's the great shining city. No one ever enters and no one ever leaves. The front doors are closed and nothing can open them. We've even tried tunneling in. We just bounced off the floor. It's made of something we've never encountered before.
Wow, you actually went underneath and dug upward?
How did you get captured?
I wandered into the forest of giants when I shouldn't have. I just wanted to see them. Everyone told me that they were actually bigger than humans. I didn't believe it until they jumped out of the trees and grabbed me. The giants don't bother anyone unless you go into their forest. They're pretty touchy about that. I'm just lucky they tied me up instead of stepping on me.
The dwarven dialect around this realm is quite a bit more expressive, I think. I love how she went gruff on bigger. The daggery one has arrived. Everything she says now is actually sarcasm. It's dripping in it and quite brutal. Laloum said, Widona. Is that what you named the spider? Skur hepticism welted a may, as they say. Doug, you're full of prime tenets this evening. It's Steve with a dagger. I suppose you could say that. Doug says, Dunia's a bansi fort. Yen Wulgave Hug. Yeah, I love the old Welsh. Well, so the giants actually tied her to the tree? That happened? They would do that? Also, what is she doing? She seems to open her mouth now and then. Maybe we'll see it again soon.
Tell me what you know about these giants.
Many generations ago, my ancestors dug their tunnels here. When they emerged from the ground to have a look around, they encountered the giants. They weren't friendly, and definitely not especially happy to meet us. Mayhem broke out. The dwarves weren't used to war, but they were quick studies. They forged weapons and battled the giants for years.
The dwarves actually went to contend with them? My gosh. I guess you could leave that to a dwarf, huh? Doug says, haha, it's like Welsh plus Dutch divided by 2. I suppose the parentheses were needed there. She's chuckling silently, knowing your demise will come at her hands. That is not impossible. But Zifnav doesn't think that the dwarves even know where their hammer is. Oh, wait, that's because the dwarves thought that the hammer was weak compared to other weapons.
One day, the giants suddenly stopped fighting. They drew back into the forest and remained there. As long as we stayed out, they left us alone. We keep the store of weapons in a vault, though, ready just in case the giants change their minds and attack. We also have an interesting legend about the giants.
There we go. So one day the giants suddenly stopped fighting. Do we know why that was? I forget. There might have been something in the backstory about it. Anyway, store of weapons in a vault, eh? Seems like that vault might have the golden hammer that we don't know the location of.
Tell me the legend of these giants.
According to legend, the giants are the children of the Shining City. They lived inside it and were very happy, but they always wondered what lay outside of the city's walls. One day they snuck out. The city discovered them missing. It was furious that its children had left it, so as punishment it took away their eyes and closed its doors, leaving them outside. The Shining City became dark in its sorrow.
That's a nice legend.
The giants moved into the forest nearby. They hoped that one day the city would reopen its doors and let them in. The only memory of their time inside was a gem that one of them had brought with them. They cherished that memory and guarded it jealously.
A gem.
One day, the city's heart grew lonely. It decided to forgive its errant children and invite them to return, so it began to shine again. If the giants had seen it, they would have rushed home. But the city had taken their eyes and they couldn't see the beckoning light. So they remain inside the forest, waiting for a call that came long ago. And the city waits for its children who will never return.
So it's the city's fault, according to legend.
We dwarves believe that if only we could lead the giants back to the city, they would go in and leave the forest to us. We know that they are guarding the gem at the center of the forest. A few brave dwarfs have entered the forest in hopes of stealing the gem and bringing it to the shining city. The giants would follow the gem, and when they came upon the city, it would open its doors to them and they would go back home.
So the gem was in the city and then it wasn't, and I'm a little confused here. I saw these questions about the gem and I didn't know what they were. I thought I'd missed her talking about it, but she obviously... Yeah, there she goes again. She obviously had yet to reveal that.
What do you know about the gem?
Supposedly, it's huge and crystal and has strange writings on it. Actually, it's not supposed to be all that valuable. Crystal's not worth much. You'd figure that something they guarded so fiercely would be worth more.
Maybe. But maybe it's worth a lot to them. That's what you think, isn't it?
Has anyone ever been able to take the gem?
A long time ago, a dwarf named Lungput the Swift ventured into the forest. Somehow he made it to the center, into a clearing, and there, lying on the ground, he discovered the gem. He grabbed it and bolted for the city. Well, the giants followed him all right, but they caught him before he got anywhere near the city. He tried hiding behind trees and rocks anywhere out of sight, but the giants homed in on him as if he were a beacon. They took back their gem and squished poor Lungput. Since then, no one's ever come back out of the forest once they went in.
That's tragic. Is that still legend, or is that something that really happened?
How far did you make it inside? Did you actually see the gem?
No, I never got anywhere near it. I didn't even mean to go as far as I did. One step inside the forest was enough for these big bullies. They grabbed me and tied me up. Didn't even say a word.
Lexi says they may not be fighting, but they're certainly still violent. It has sentimental value beyond measure, Jar Jr. Did we learn her name? I don't think she has mentioned her name yet. How could they know all of this if Lungput was squished? Well, maybe he had a narrator. Maybe she was the narrator. Yeah, I mean, I think they could find evidence, or maybe he wasn't the only one on that adventure. He was squished, but that doesn't he died. Are you going to call me mean? Let's see.
Do they normally squash intruders?
That's what the elders say, and no one's ever said differently. I thought maybe they were exaggerating just to keep us out of the forest, but maybe not. At least they only tied me up.
I don't know if we want to make this comment. Doesn't seem very diplomatic.
Enough about these giants.
All right, what else do you want to know?
Tell me more about those giants. Let's cut to the punch. I think we've had enough small talk to butter her up.
Do you know anything about a golden hammer?
A golden hammer? I'm not sure. Wait, I think there's a golden hammer in the weapons vault. A few years ago, there was a false alarm. We thought that the Titans were attacking, so the elders ordered that the vault be opened. Everyone took up weapons and headed towards the forest. At that point, we realized we had been tricked. Some child got his rear tanned, and everyone went to replace their weapons.
Dagger Steve says, do we know how big the voice cast was for this game? There's a commonality through the characters' voices that I can't put my finger on, if that makes sense. I don't know necessarily. I suspected last time that one of the children's voices from Prian was also the voice of Limbeck, but for the most part, excuse me, I think they are unique. There might be like a couple who do more than one character. So she's still talking about the hammer. She didn't explain yet what happened to the golden hammer.
I was one of the first in the vault, and I noticed a golden hammer shoved way in the back. No one had taken it. I looked at it to find out why. The weight was all wrong, and I determined that it was actually forged of gold. Can you believe it? A soft metal like gold? One strong blow and the thing would flatten. I don't understand why anyone ever made such a useless weapon.
Yeah, that's what Zifnad said. Doug says small talk, huh? Another dwarf joke. Yeah, that's true. Although I didn't say it out loud. Let's see. That could be my favor.
Do you think you could get it for me? That could be my favor.
I don't think so. The only time the vault is open is in response to an attack by the giants. They never make exceptions. In fact, ever since the false alarm, they are more careful than ever to verify that the attack is genuine. They don't want dwarves harming themselves or others, either by accident or deliberately, by using these weapons. Some of them are very dangerous.
Okay. We have a few ways to try and coax her into still pursuing this hammer idea. Let's try this one.
Maybe the hammer wasn't meant to be used as a weapon.
Why would someone forge a hammer unless it was meant to be used? That doesn't make any sense.
So she has critical thinking skills. We're gonna need some way to get around those.
Could you go ask the elders if they'd make an exception? No one seems to want the hammer anyway.
I could ask, but I already know the answer. Nothing is going to open that vault except an attack from the giants, and I really hope that doesn't happen in my lifetime. I'll go, though. Wait here. I'll be back soon.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking? The dwarf girl grabs the branch sticking out of the dead tree trunk. That's a thing. And pulls it in an intricate motion which you take the time to memorize. Haplo's pretty good at memorizing hand motions. That's one of his things. In response, a hidden door pops open, she ducks inside and scuttles downward into a tunnel. All right. Now can we go in? Copying the movement of the young dwarf, you pull at the twisted branch sticking out of the stump. Our options were pull and push. Maybe the intricate pattern that we memorized was pull. A door pops open. Inside, you see a narrow tunnel that leads straight down. So she did drop that sort of conspicuous bit of logic that a Titan attack would indeed get them to bring the hammer up. You climb inside the hollow stump, but quickly realize that the dwarven tunnel is far too narrow for your girth. Indeed, it is probably too narrow for any race save the dwarves themselves. Are they that small? I thought their girth was about identical to an elf or humans. You clamber out of the trunk and brush yourself off. A giant attack, not a Titan attack. Right, exactly. Maybe we just need to be the Titans. Far too narrow for your girth. Alright. Well, I get a feeling we need to do something to get those Titans out of there. Don't you? Oh, she's coming back. Maybe it worked. The clearing isn't yours to give. From the open door in the stump steps the dwarf girl, a little out of breath and dirtier for the trip.
It's just as I thought. The elders agree that I should fulfill my obligation, but they cannot open the vault unless we are at war. Have you thought of anything else you want?
Or diet. Doug, the Titans or the Giants? Eat chocolate square. That's right. Understandable, Doug. That is the answer to that. Yeah, it seems kind of like a nervous chuckle.
Do the elders have any ideas?
No, they're still getting over the idea that I owe a favor to a human.
I could help them get over that.
Could you take me to talk to them? Maybe I could convince the elders.
You don't know the elders. We tend to be a fairly stubborn people, and the elders are about as stubborn as they come. Besides, I don't think you would be able to fit inside the tunnel. Being little comes in handy sometimes.
She is rather charming.
I don't know about anything else. Perhaps we should talk a bit more.
Fine with me.
All right. Oh, that's an idea. Relations.
Let me introduce you to my companions.
The small dwarf greets her companions. The prince bows graciously. The dwarf looks a little reserved, perhaps wondering if he's making fun of her height. She says a few words, and the prince appears a little taken aback by the dwarf's gruff and direct comments. But they speak a bit more, and soon both are laughing and enjoying each other's company. The dwarf girl soon turns to the princess, and after the initial pleasantries, the princess lapses into a coughing fit. Katie says, "Ah ha ha, I was washing my face and it was caught off guard when Steve emphasized girth." Yes, I'm sorry to use the word.
That's a nasty cough you've got there, princess. But I know a surefire remedy. It only requires 4 ingredients, and I've got one of them with me. Let's see. You'll need some dead man's friend, the meat from a zuzu nut, the roots of the plith plant, and the dried herbs that I carry.
I did just use it. It was quite recent. So anyway, here's a recipe for a cough remedy. That's something we need. So here's how I think it's going to go. We'll get the cough remedy. She'll be able to play the flute for long periods. We'll go deep into the forest. We'll find the gem. We'll grab the gem. We'll take the gem. Don't know if the Titans are going to chase us at that point. Depends on whether they can overcome their resistance to or they overcome their weakness for the flute. If they do come, we dash to the Citadel, we throw the weapons in, don't know how we get the hammer yet, and then the Citadel opens and the Titans go inside. A good old-fashioned item hunt quest, lovely stuff. Yes, exactly. This game has not presented us with too many of those. It seems to have more of a way of sneaking the items that we need into our inventory by the time that we need them, and then letting us figure out that we're supposed to use them when the time comes. And it does that incredibly well, honestly. There's such finesse to it. It is possible we have most of what we need here. I think the zuzu nut is quite likely to be the nut that the monkey squirrel opened for us. What the heck is dead man's friend? Period. We might have the plith plant already. We haven't used that with those red roses yet. She has the herbs, so the only thing we need to know about is dead man's friend. Could those be the mushrooms? They were growing under a corpse, weren't they?
What the heck is dead man's friend?
It's a fungus, a toadstool that tends to grow under carrion, dead bodies. That's why it's known as dead man's friend.
Katie, I did not ignore your comment. Actually, yes, I did that time. I decided that I should not impede on others' freedom to interpret the pronunciation of that newly coined word by pronouncing it myself. I believe it should live in that nether region of pronunciations because the mind will better foster it than the mouth. Satisfied nod.
What are you supposed to do with all of these things?
Just feed them to her. It all ends up in the same place. After she's eaten them all, she should have shaken off that nasty cough.
Steve's software automatically ignores comments beginning with Steve's girt. Exactly. Right, Katie? Ah ha ha. Which is the correct response to Steve was embarrassed, so he ignored it.
You think that this favor would make us even?
You think a simple cough remedy is worth my life? I owe you far more than that. You keep thinking about what you need. This is just being friendly.
Aw, that's awfully encouraging. Okay, I don't think we need to ask
Can we
about
talk
what the
about
other
some
things
other
are.
things?
Sure.
Wait, can we not exit this conversation?
Can we talk about that cure again?
Of course. What do you want to know?
My life?
Can you tell me about the zuzu nut?
The nut is named after the zuzu, a shy animal that survives on a diet of just the meat of the nut. It's considered a delicacy, and it's very hard to come by. The nut's shell is incredibly thick. It's almost impossible to open. The zuzu has to be very strong just to crack them. I think you'll find a grove of the nuts off to the west. Good luck in getting at the meat.
We already did it. Now, the dwarves went to battle against the Titans, but they can't open a nut?
Where am I going to find a plith plant?
They're not rare. You should be able to find them anywhere. The plith have pink flowers. If you see those, just pull up the whole plant.
Here you
should
go,
get
kid.
the roots along with everything else.
Our moment still awaits us in the future. Okay, so we have that.
Can I have those herbs?
Sure. I've got them here somewhere.
She paws through her dusty garments and emerges holding a handful of dried herbs. Smiling, she hands them over to you.
Can we talk about some other things?
Sure.
Is the Zuzu the monkey? Did she say that? Almost impossible to open, and Zuzu monkeys pop them open with 2 fingers. Zuzus are dangerous. Another one of your theories. Did we never ask her where she lived? Maybe that's why we have to stay in this conversation.
Where do you live?
Why, right here. Well, under here, anyhow. We dwarves prefer to live underground. We have a network of tunnels that run for miles in all directions.
Exactly.
Tell me more about those giants.
Not my favorite subject, considering I was almost plant food, but go ahead anyway.
Do we have to ask this? Well, we're gonna do it because we're running out of options.
Are you sure you didn't get stepped on? You're pretty short.
One of these days, gravity is going to realize that people shouldn't have legs that long. Then you'll be sorry.
I should have known she could handle that.
Enough about these giants.
All right, what else do you want to know?
The Zuzu is the bird from the Lion King. Exactly.
Could we go back to the subject of the golden hammer again?
What do you need to know about it?
Okay, we have the herbs. Let's dismiss her again.
This is getting us nowhere. The only thing I need is the golden hammer. Could you go try again to get it?
Nothing's going to change. But if it will make you happy, I'll go back in and rack my brains. I'll try everything, and I won't come back out until I've got it. Don't get your hopes up.
Very well. If you do somehow get the hammer, meet me at the Shining City. I need you to do something with it there.
Well, got rid of her. The dwarf girl slips back into the hollow stump and closes the door behind her. Lexi says, Katie says just asking a young girl where she lives, and that's because there are different cultures in different worlds and we need to respect those cultures. Sometimes things are okay and etc, etc. Lexi, good luck getting a Zuzu nut. They're almost impossible to open. Zuzus have to be incredibly strong to open them, therefore Zuzus can hurt you. Yes, that's right. Isn't it rack? It might be. There have been a couple of interesting flaws in the text of this game. Lexi, both work sometimes, I think. Doug, I've looked it up many times and I'm still confused. Right. Yeah. Map. There might be some of those words where you can actually interchangeably use 2 different forms or senses of the word in the same expression. Katie, oh, query. I assume that means you're going to be asking a question shortly. Do you think it's party hardy or party hearty? I think... I have not looked it up, so I may be wrong, as it is so easy to be about these expressions. I think it's party hardy based on hard, exactly. Doug thinks it's party hardly, which is the most educated guess of the bunch, I would say. All right. Princess, I'm going to stuff some stuff in you. The princess accepts the nut meat and gobbles it down. 5 points. We have to look at the herbs first. We'll never see these again. The herbs look like bits of dead grass. When you finger them, they crumble in your hands. Thank goodness we still have them. The princess accepts the herbs and gobbles them down. Is that the same mistake I made twice? Toadstools. Consume them. Here you go, kid. It's finally time. She didn't know what it was for before, but apparently she was listening. The princess accepts the pink plant and gobbles it down. After she finishes her snack, she looks up in surprise. She breathes deeply, but her lungs are clear. Her cough has disappeared. Dagger Steve, nut meat. That's something that's not said enough, exactly. Lexi, sandals are hardy, meals are hearty. Precisely. All right. What do we do now? The dwarf is not coming back. She's gonna stay down there. So I'm guessing that... yeah, it's looking like things are gonna go the way we thought. All right, princess.
Greetings, my friend.
Let's hear a little of that clear-throated music.
Would you mind doing me a favor?
A favor? Certainly. What is it?
Could you start playing the tune from that book I gave you?
Very well. Just tell me when to stop.
Doug says the princess accepts the arrow and gobbles it down. 5 points. Trowel? I'm not sure I get that one. But, you know, the points are being pretty liberally dispensed at this point, so to speak. There is a Titan there, okay. Can we take the vines? The vines have already been cut. Oh, is it the shear? That does look a little bit 2D for a trowel. Or rather, if it was a trowel, it would be dead on profile, which most of the items aren't. Yeah, that's the shear. Yes, the single shear. Alright. Let's go further north. Are you a mason? It's far too D. Exactly. Alright. We have not succeeded in going further north yet. It's one of those going deeper into the woods things in games. The further you move into it, the darker the forest becomes, as you can see by the depiction of a forest which is identically lit. You see more Titans scattered throughout the trees. Yes, in this area, he's off to the right. The forest is lousy with Titans. There are almost as many of the giants as there are trees. Yeah, princess, don't cough. I see you're doing musical ornamentation now. Into the woods indeed. Titans have gathered around one tree here. High in its branches, you see something made of crystal. Clearly the focus of the Titan's attention. Alright, we are going to save. The exclamation point in that font is so bulbous. That might have been true of the original DOS font, though, mightn't it? Tree. Although the tree is dead, it still has a few branches on it. Nestled in one of the higher ones, you see a crystal object. A few branches make it possible to climb up to it, but they look rather fragile. You doubt that they could support your weight. That actually looks like it might be a seal piece, doesn't it? We could take it, but we're gonna... The Titans will at least know that we're here, so it just comes down to whether they... Yeah. Suddenly the princess gets jazzy with it, abandoning the two, and the Titans kill you. Yes. Katie, did being lousy with something come from being lousy, as in covered with lice? It might actually be. Some good questions about the history of expressions. Doug cast way less. Yes, it does derive from louse. Okay, so... I don't know which one of us here weighs the least. It's probably the prince. We're not going to take the crystal fragment. We can give it to the elf prince, though. Let's do that. It isn't mine to give. Elf prince?
Yes, my friend? What can I do for you?
Could you climb the tree and get that crystal?
All right, I'll be back in a moment.
Okay, good luck, sir. Oh, man. We'll see how this goes. The prince tiptoes around the unnaturally still giants, vaults up the tree, and grabs the crystal fragment. He climbs part of the way down, looks around nervously at the Titans, not with a capital T this time, and drops heavily to the ground. He runs up and delivers the crystal to you, sweating and puffing. Okay. The Titans were okay with that. Yes. That might happen throughout the rest of the game. At least if Doug has anything to say about it. Consistency is important, folks. Okay, is something going to happen the moment we go south, like the princess? The princess's gobbling down of unnecessary objects causes her to stop playing? If so, you'd wonder why she hasn't stopped playing to this point. We can only hope. Okay, it's all going well so far. Oh. Oh yes. That's right. Exiting the forest, you notice a deep rumbling behind you. You realize that the Titans further in are probably out of range of the flute's melody. They've fallen out of thrall. Noticed that their precious relic has been stolen and started to rampage directly toward it. And not coincidentally, you. That makes sense. Trust this game to come up with an explanation that makes sense. Lexi, play louder. Oh my god, play louder. I mean, if it has a range, then all she really needs to do is to keep playing, right? But if we go to the Citadel, we might be, the Titans here might be out of range, and they'll come past the stump, and then the dwarves will probably catch on that they're at war, and they'll bring the hammer, right? Here we go.
They're coming and they'll be here before you know it. The flute's no good anymore. When they find us with the relic, they'll tear us apart.
The relic! That's what they're really after! We've got to get rid of it!
Soon the booming of giant footsteps totally drowns out the melody. Oh, I see. I thought maybe the sensibleness of the game's explanations was about to wane, but no. The footsteps are louder than it. Good for them. The prince thinks for a moment and exclaims that. All right, should we eat it? Feed it to the princess. Exactly. Should we run? Let's just run.
We'll never make it back to the ship! The Titans will catch us easily! There has to be something else you can do!
There has to something else you can do. Oh. We could toss it down into the tree. Here you go, dwarves. Uh-oh. Looks like we didn't act fast enough. The Titans come crashing through the forest, no longer concerned about what they crush in their path. A mammoth hand wraps around you and squeezes. When the pressure has made a bloody pulp of your body, gentle fingers remove the crystal fragment. Of course, you're not much aware of the loss, or much else for that matter. After being a bloody pulp, you don't go back. Lexi says play the tune into a yak back and throw it into the woods. Titans are notoriously curious. Also start another war. I'll take that last piece of advice. Let's undo undone. Now, did we just fail to put it in the stump last time? You did call me mean. You were true to your word. Here we go. You toss the crystal fragment into the hollow stump. You hear it bump against the sides as it falls deep into the dwarven caves below. Oh hi! The Titans come crashing through the forest, no longer concerned about what they crush in their path. We're getting a lot of totally. You will return to a pre-birth state. They totally ignore you and your companions and focus on the stump in the middle of the clearing. After a couple of attempts, they slowly begin to realize that even the smallest of their number is never going to be able to fit inside the dwarven tunnel. But they're no longer coming after us, it looks like, which is good. Although this fact might have stopped someone even slightly smarter, the Titans aren't even slowed. With bare hands, they begin to excavate their own tunnel. Dwarf curses and battle cries float up from the hole. Think they're catching on. Katie says, okay, we'll keep listening, but we'll lay in bed without my phone. Good night. Good night, Katie. Thank you for hanging out for a little while tonight. £10. All right, hello, Titan. I kind of want to look at you, but I think even more than that, I want to run away. You stand outside the huge Sartan edifice. Yes. All right, Elf Prince. Let's have a bit of a talk about
Yes,
your
my friend?
sword.
What can I do for you?
Do you know anything about the Citadel?
I'm afraid I've only heard that it exists, but I don't know anything about it. I'm sorry.
Do we not know how to...
Nothing right now, but stick with me.
Sure.
Tell him to put the... Here she is.
I was standing there in the tunnels arguing with an elder about opening up the vault when the crystal gem dropped from above, right on the elder's head. Before I could even laugh, I heard the pounding of the giants trying to get inside the tunnel. The elder went crazy. He sounded the alarm and opened the vault right then and there.
Open the vault. That's what it sounded like. I wasn't just coughing then by coincidence, not at all.
I grabbed both the crystal gem and the golden hammer and took a back tunnel here. I guessed that I could get rid of my obligation to you and lead the giants back to their home. Here's the hammer you wanted. I'm glad to have been able to repay you. Now all we have to do is wait for the giants to come home. They'll arrive, the doors will open, and everyone will be happy. I hope.
As hard as she tries, she can't conceal her fear at the pounding footsteps that get closer with every passing moment. Yes, we didn't ask her whether there was another way into the vault, but apparently there was. Aha, now's our shining moment. Our moment of being a director. You direct the three youngsters to put their respective symbols into the recesses on the Citadel door. I'm done with that. None of them grasps your meaning entirely, but you are sure that all will be made clear shortly. When the last symbol is slid into place, the doors swing inward, revealing a gleaming city. An ancient city of the Sartan. Wow, it just fades. That's pretty cool. How'd the Sartan manage that? The Titans arrive, legs pumping. But when they come upon the gaping doors of the Citadel, they lose all interest in the crystal fragment. Instead, they file into the city and take positions in front of massive machines, as if they knew what they were doing.
There's room enough for all of the races here. If we could live together, we could do it better than ever.
It seems that they do. The Titans know what they were doing, that is. A few minutes of tinkering and button pressing pass before the city comes to life. Lights flare and the entire Citadel begins to hum pleasantly. Citadel, this time capitalized, as it has been every other time except for that one time. The Mensch wander in, and their eyes wide with wonder. Thinking about your quest, you regain the crystal fragment from the distracted dwarf. Apparently we've recognized it as a seal piece. The Mensch go on, but something else has attracted your attention. An archway only a few dozen feet inside the Citadel is decorated by the fire seal piece. Oh, the crystal wasn't the fire seal piece. Maybe the crystal has a naming rune for another realm. That, again, would be awfully convenient. If so, I wonder what exactly it is and how they ended up with it. A flare just inside the Citadel's gate catches your eye. You see Zifnab, coughing and ineffectually brushing soot from his robes. He looks up, sees you as well, and smiles. Lexi, is it like the crystal ball we needed in Arianis? It might have been a Sartan artifact, but the crystal ball from Arianis, I think, that was meant as a reunification thing, and here the reunification trinkets are the three golden weapons. So I don't think it's that.
Haplo, my boy! I knew you could do it! They put their symbols into the face of a mysterious building without even knowing why. Quite an achievement if you ask me. That shows leadership qualities. You've inspired loyalty in these children. They trust you.
A Sartan and a patron congratulating each other and starting to get along?
Does your heart good to see them together, doesn't it? Too bad it's only for a little while, It's a good thing they don't know that you're just scouting for your lord. That soon he will destroy these children's lives for his dreams of conquest. That would just ruin their day. Better keep this between you and me if you know what I mean.
Yes. I won't mention it.
Don't worry, Haplo. I won't interfere in your mission. In fact, I have a present for you. I tried to take up a collection around the office, but no one there seems to like you very much. I wasn't going to say anything, but they all think you're on the side of evil. That doesn't make you very popular. Most of their ideas of a going-away present took the form of a punch in the mouth.
At least it cured my cough. Don't mention it. Exactly. I think the Sartan have already mentioned it.
I stuck up for you, though. He's not a mindless puppet, I said. He has very good reasons for wanting to destroy everything. I'm sure he's thought this whole thing through. They seemed a little doubtful, but I know my old buddy Haplo. You'll come through in the end.
Exactly. We're the protagonist.
Anyway, since no one chipped in, I got you this. It's a genuine 100% natural, roughly spherical, all-purpose evil combating device. Really? I know you're thinking, Zifnab, how can this obviously rare and well-crafted document holder also combat evil? Well, fear not. This particular paperweight is magic. That's right.
Thanks.
As the stone approaches true evil, it will glow. Soon, you will encounter an evil greater than any you've ever known, even in the labyrinth. And it has magic. Horrible, powerful, destructive. Much different than the magic that we command. The rock will react to this magic. The closer you get, the brighter it will glow. When you are in its very presence, crush the rock. You'll know the right time.
Lexi says Zifnab is a good guy. Chuck it at Czar. I bet that piece of granite lights up like a firecracker. Well, we'll be back soon enough with any luck.
What will happen when I crush it?
I don't know, but I'm sure that it will be impressive. And just in case it doesn't work, use the backup plan. Hurl that sucker. I find that a nice solid pock upside the head always slows evil down.
That's actually not a bad little phrase. Might be misinterpreted and taken to extremes, I suppose. It lights up like a lawful wood pyrography trademark.
Now you're thinking, how can he afford to give this away? Well, that's very astute of you, Haplo. I can't afford it. Of course, I'm taking a loss on this transaction, but when your friends start asking you, where'd you get that great evil combator? You tell them you got it from old Zifnab, and soon they're telling their friends, and they're telling their friends. Eventually, everyone has a Zifnab special.
I love the inflection. A Zifnab special. A pock upside the head.
Take Priam's seal piece, Haplo. Go back to your lord, but remember what you've seen here. Remember these people. Consider carefully exactly what you are doing and why.
He turns and exits the Citadel. By the time you reach the doorway to follow, he has disappeared. Thanks, Zifnab. And thanks for the present. And thanks for letting us take the seal piece. Another beautiful piece. Yoink. You take the fire seal piece. It's a real seal piece. And what exactly is this? It's just a crystal fragment? When you look closely, you notice that the crystal object is a fragment, a piece of something larger. It is roughly octagonal, and has the naming rune for the world of stone carved onto it. Yes, another realm. You guess that it is a fragment of a copy of the entire world seal carved from crystal. That makes sense. That was the only thing I could come up with. Look at the Titans. Don't attack them, you fool. Lexi, so from now on, if you're ever to enter fisticuffs, just intimidatingly shout, "Are you looking for a Zifnab special?" Exactly. The Titans are gathered in a chamber so brightly lit that you have to squint to make them out. Perhaps this is why they were created without the ability to see. Exactly. The interior of the Citadel is even more impressive than the exterior. Spires and towers jut from the lower structures, all of which appear to be connected at some point. It's one huge building as big as a city, functional as well as beautiful. It looks lovely. And the forest looks lovely from within it. Sartan architecture isn't bad. I guess we're done here. Which way to our ship? I never remember. Let's check the map. See, this works now and then. Can we go directly to the ship? You can't go that way. There we go. Alright, in we go. Well, it's a little sad to leave Prian, but I think we'll do it. You take You take the dragon ship back through the Death Gate and return to the Nexus. Here goes.